Hey guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles for another breakdown of Sugar Apple Fairy Tale episode number 7. Not gonna lie, not gonna beat around the bush. This was the episode where I almost dropped it, but I stuck with it and I've got an interesting script this time around, so I hope you guys will deep dive with me. We will look at episode 7 because a lot comes up in this episode. Something I was theorising last week technically is what I think is going on. I actually think I hit the nail on the head last week and I've continued with my theory and I think I'm correct. I think I'm actually right. Before we get going though, make sure you guys are subscribed. You guys are fantastic. I have to thank you guys so much for making this video the most popular video on the channel every single week. It really does mean a lot to me. So I really hope you can bear with me for this episode because I may have to get real with you guys because this episode is technically dealing with a very real topic, which we need to talk about. And it's hard for me because I am very upset right now. But we need to talk about the anime because this is an anime that I think just upped its game. I think it heard where I placed it in the midways and I don't think it's very happy with where it's sat. Go and check out my midway review if you want to know exactly where this anime fell for the halfway point because it's an interesting one and now I'm like, oh god, it hurt me and now it's stepping up its game and it's going to come and hurt me. Let's deep dive into episode number 7 because we're back. It's a red herring, right? So this anime wants you to hate this character and by all means go ahead and hate him. He's done some very nasty things. But the Duke is actually hiding a secret that I think is very important to also understand why somebody behaves the way that they do. I believe this guy, and it's pretty much obvious during this episode, and as I said, I think he's grieving. I believe Christina is dead, and that's why he gets very mad with Hugh when he brings up the fact that you can go with her as well. Well, you can't go with somebody who is dead. He basically wants something for Paul Soul's Day. I think that's the day they said that you need something to give to allow that soul to go over. The anime has given us this information with Anne because she wants to say goodbye to her mum, but we're now reusing this information. The anime's actually done something quite good at giving us all the info you need to try and break this episode particular down. The Duke wants a sculpture to give to Christina and her memory to allow her soul to go over. However, the Duke is searching for something so specific that nobody around him is able to figure it out. And every single sculpture that is created, it's not perfect. Every single thing that you do is wrong because he can't communicate to everybody. This character becomes a hated character immediately because we do not understand this character. However, I still hate Jonas more than the Duke. You're not going to take that away from me there. What initially ruined my theory was Jonas's wound, and I saw him being hit, and I was like, okay, well, he must just be a simple bad guy out and out. However, I had to stop and think, wait, is it really so far to believe that if somebody was so grief-stricken that they would not become violent? I have to confess to you guys that I have become emotional. I haven't hit somebody, but last year, if you were on the channel long enough, a friend of mine passed away last year. They took their own lives. I was pretty much in a very bad state for about a week. Did pretty much be quite harsh with people. I verbally then striking out because I was particularly not really wanting to see anybody. I was pretty emotional and I can imagine that this guy who's been on his own for a whole year of not seeing anybody, I could imagine very easily that he's become very violent, and I can imagine that Jonas has done a one-winged fairy and that's really upset him. Right now, the Duke is lost to grief and it's eating away at his very core. No matter what anybody creates, it's simply just not enough because the guy can't express himself. He only says give it form, but nobody can understand what this really means because he can't communicate. He's had a year of pretty much being isolated. You lose the ability to communicate to people. Now, the breaking of the statue was where the anime decided it wanted to go really real. We see the art style completely change. All of the colours go into the negative forms, red and blue for the negatives. High contrast is used. The scene is negative. The scene is shocking. There's the use of the red light. You get a bit of rim lighting around the edge. Everything becomes quite nightmarish. It sinks in that this is the situation that we're dealing with. This is how violent and how scary mental health can be if it goes untreated and understood. And why I'm going to have to be real with you guys is because I need to express that I have issues myself. I actually understand the Duke's character, which is why I'm not all out condemning him like I do with Jonas. This is a character, instead of being out for yourself and throwing people under the bus and stealing work, we've actually got a character here who is really struggling. And then he's also in a situation that he's in a nation that is being humiliated. You have to come and meet me every single year and you've got to send all of this to us. And when you are grieving for somebody, all of this suddenly becomes added pressure. Think of the Duke as, and his grief, already half full when he's having to deal with the fact that you've been put down, you were 15 when it happened, you are seen as the last spark of rebellion, now you're just going to have to be humiliated. Then the one person making it all bearable dies. The one person that he loved tips it right over the edge. Anne initially did notice the look of happiness, the joy the Duke sees when he sees the artwork for the first time. She noticed that there was pain and happiness at the same time. She decides that she can't give up. Now, the heart-to-heart with Shal by the window and the starlight is absolutely gorgeous, and oh my god, I was crying when they sent him away. I did think Shal was 200 years old. Don't know if I've had a clash on numbers on this. I thought he said that he was created 200 years ago, but it seems to be 100 now, so we've cut it back a little bit. She asks the question on what Liz is like. It's a very gorgeous topic. I love the line that he says that everybody who has lived 100 years is going to be a little bit bitter. I could not agree more, because life is hard, hurtful, and you can imagine when he lost Liz, he must have been beside himself. The reason why I'm bringing up this topic and why I think this topic is really important is because it's actually relevant to the plot. It's all very relevant to tell you about the idea of grief and losing somebody. How do you remember somebody who meant so much to you and is now gone? Because both Liz and Christina are dead. And I think it's very important that the anime is trying to get this out there. Whether it's done it perfectly or not, or whether it's actually nailed it on the head with its execution, I'm not quite sure, because it took me 2 attempts to go over my notes and actually try and figure out what was going on. I adore the reaction. Shal sees her crying. You've got this thoughtful, apologetic tone. I am so sorry if my words have caused this. He's immediately apologising and moved. And honestly, just he is such a warm character. Underneath that shell of isolation and bitterness, I'm going to appear as this grumpy person who doesn't smile. He has a warm heart. He wouldn't care about her crying if he didn't have a warm heart. It might just be that you remind me of Liz, but I also don't think it's the case. I think he's seen her crying and actually he's worried now that he's hurt her in some way. A bit of why I'm actually annoyed at the plot this week is because her now dismissing him without him having any understanding comes across as, you were talking about something important to you, I don't want you around anymore. And that's why I really hate this, because it's going to be misconstrued. He's going to think that him talking about Liz has upset her and she doesn't want to see him anymore. She's sending him away. That hurts because it's something that's so important to Shal. That should never be the case, even in any situation. If anybody you care about starts talking about something that matters to them, you never cut them off. Don't cut them off. Let them get it out their systems, because they're opening up, and Shal opening up about Liz is such a beautiful scene. But yeah, we've got to go there. How much do you really want me to hate Jonas? So there's like no bounds to how much you want me to hate. There's no redeeming factors for this character. The character is just pure evil, pure psychotic, pure self-centeredness. And yes, he is doing this under the fear of being trapped in this place forever, unable to leave. He's been tortured and tormented by the Duke. And yes, there is no apologising for that behaviour. That behaviour is wrong. The Duke's behaviour towards Jonas is just wrong, and you can't actually lighten it in any way, shape or form. Even though we're about to go into why he's doing it, doesn't make what he's done correct. He has done something horrific. However, Jonas goes one step further to torture Mithril, a character that we love, a character that we really care about. Jonas doesn't care. He was also all for just sacrificing Anne and throwing her under the bus and telling her, well, she can stay, let me go. He has no remorse. He doesn't care. Jonas is a horrible character, and I have to say, I believe he is actually my most hated character of the season. Well done, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. If you don't win anything else, it's going to be most hated character. Congratulations. Was perhaps the hardest episode to watch this season, and I'm watching a lot of heavy episodes. It was horrible, because watching her dismiss Shal broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart, because you know that he doesn't understand what's going on. He's just basically opened up to her, and he's now been met by this, go away. I don't want to see you anymore. You've got to go. And she won't even face him. There's no I'm not going to turn around and face you. I won't give you this honour. Because obviously she's in tears right now. You can imagine she's saying that with tears streaming down her face. She's doing it to protect Mithril. She doesn't want any harm to come of Mithril, so she has to let him go. I am not angry at Anne. So if anyone's actually going to strike out here, I'm not angry at her. I understand exactly why she is doing what she's doing. And I understand that Jonas fears for his life, but to go to the point to torture Mithril, when I believe Anne would probably understand if he came and just said, look, this is the situation. I don't understand why we had to go as far as sending Shal away. I don't know whether it was the fact that the Duke made Jonas do that, because it seemed to be the case that he said, I've even made her send away Shal. And that made no sense to me. So maybe he did really, really weird as a guy who had a fairy. It was a horrible episode, guys. It's horrible. I almost decided that I couldn't break it down and I wanted to drop it. But then I had to just stop for a minute and take a breather. It was very painful to continue the second half, but there's no remorse, no care in Jonas's character. He just walks out and that's it. He's gone now. I really don't want to see this character again. Can you just not bring him back in? 5 episodes before the end of the season. If you bring Jonas back, I swear I'm going to riot. Don't bring him back. I hate the character. Get rid of the character. Leave it. He's gone. That's it. Done. No more Jonas. Let's deep dive into Duke. Don't know why it's taken me this long to work out who he is. I've got this talent for certain voice actors, basically a few particular voice actors in general. The Duke is voiced by the guy who does Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. He is the voice of true evil in that show, but he's also a character who is very twisted, which is very similar to this character. He's got a natural flair for coldness in his voices, harshness in his voices. Honestly, you could not have got a better voice actor. Congratulations. Aside Kenjiro Suda, who I'd love to see in that role, the two between Kenjiro Suda and this guy, there's a slight difference. Kenjiro Suda is very good at being cold and pure, proper horrible evil. I love him to pieces though, don't get me wrong. But Shigaraki also has this natural talent for putting in... I know he's got a proper name. I don't actually remember his name off the top of my head. I think it's Kyuki Ichiyama. I think that's who he is. I'm just going to call him Shigaraki because it's a little bit easier for me. He's got a natural talent for putting in coldness into his voice, but with a hint of almost despair. It's pleading. He's also Razor from Genshin Impact, and I love Razor. Razor is amazing. He has got the talent of being a good guy, and if you watch my mid review, I rave so much about Ray from Buddy Daddies because it's the same voice actor, so I don't hate these characters. He's just got a talent for being a colder, darker character. Now, let's run through it. The Duke, he is grieving. He has lost somebody. He has been alone for a year. He's laying on a chair. So yeah, he's not in bed. He's wearing his clothes. He doesn't care about his appearance. He's not taking any personal care about himself. He's getting angry. He's being snappy. One word and one word only comes to my mind when it comes to the Duke. And that is depression. Depression is horrible. It's a horrible thing to deal with. I was diagnosed with clinical depression 4 years ago. I've had it longer. The reason why I got it diagnosed in the end is because it got to a point where I destroyed something very dear to me, a relationship dear to me. I'm not going into too many details. I don't have to be that real with you guys. Him ticking all the boxes that I had hit and a face for depression and mental health. And this is what happens when mental health goes unchecked, unhelped. Nobody actually understands this person. He has turned twisted. He's turned brutal. He's turned very cruel and cold. He has turned slightly insane. He is lost in his grief and loneliness that he has turned into what we're now seeing on the screen. There is that confirmation that Lady Christina is dead. He doesn't technically say it, but as soon as Hugh mentions the fact that we could take Christina with us, we can go and do it, it would be fun, the reaction immediately told me, yeah, no, she's dead. She's gone. No other way he'd be reacting like this. She hasn't run away. She hasn't quit. She's gone. She's dead. Hugh, you are my hero. You have literally picked up Shal, and oh my goodness, thank you so much. With Hugh, you can tell he cares for the Duke. He said, like, I used to do business with him. He would also have the lady at his side, which made him bearable. Was able to enjoy my art with the lady by his side. And that person who was keeping him balanced, that person was keeping him sane, is now dead. Person who was allowing him to go into town, head held high, keep paying the guy even though he doesn't want to. As Hugh says, I don't want a war. He's coming with soldiers. He doesn't want to do this. Don't make him do this. But if you are beyond caring, if you're beyond reaching, you won't care anymore. You think the Duke really cares that there's a war coming to him? He's probably going to welcome the fact that you're going to put him out of his misery. I literally see the Duke as just depression. He's literally ticking all those boxes as somebody who has depression. I do love the realization right at the end that the fairy in the picture had 2 wings. Proved my theory 100%. It proved that she was truly loved. He truly loved her. He was never going to treat her like a servant. And we already got told that he actually likes fairies. He doesn't actually care for fairies being servants. So we learnt that quite early on. Bearing that in mind, then looking at him, you can see things don't quite line up. For somebody who cares so much and now suddenly doesn't care at all, you know something has gone wrong. I'm not protecting him for what he's done. I am not defending his actions. His actions towards Jonas and Anne are wrong. They are horrifically wrong. I am simply going to break down what the anime has given me and telling you he has got depression. He is grieving. This is why the character is acting in such a bad way. This is what he is doing. Anne's creation always struck a discord with him because she was only putting in 1 wing. And to a man who loved Christina, seeing her with 1 wing is just disgusting to him because the woman I love is now a servant. Shows you why he threw it on the floor. Doesn't make it right, but it shows you why he acted in the way that he did. The title of the whole episode is A False Farewell, giving me hope that Shadow's going to come back, and the picture at the end pretty much confirms that he does, so I am thankful there. But my goodness, this was a hard episode, guys. I was all about to go, that's it, I'm done, I'm dropping it, I can't do it. I stuck with it. Tough topic for me to talk about because it's real for me. It's my life. Seeing it in another character is like, oh, okay, I understand why this character's acting the way that he does. But I am right now really hurt because of how we treated Shal. The fact that he's gone right now is actually heartbreaking to me. I wanted to cry. I was like, I need to cry, but I also need to get this done because I've worked late. I need the video to go up at a decent time. I'm here with you guys, and I really hope that something comes from this video. I don't quite understand what you may get from my video. Maybe you'll get an understanding of perhaps the character, maybe even me. Channel is a weird one because I don't know how real I can be with you guys, and I don't really like putting too much of me in these videos because you're here for the anime. You're not really here for me. To understand this character, I have to have a base reference, and that reference is myself for somebody who does have depression. I recognize a lot of those traits when we see him laying there just in a blanket looking tired. There's no care going on. There's no health care. He's just sitting in clothing, so I bet he actually stinks as well. He's not taking baths. This is all symptoms of depression. As soon as you get depression, you don't care about your personal hygiene anymore. I've done the same thing. I've laid in bed for weeks and I was really bad, and this guy is also really bad. I really hope that you guys have got something from this week. I'm not going to ask if anybody enjoyed the episode because it was a very difficult episode to break down anyway, but I really do hope that hearing my breakdown brings you a little bit of something. Maybe it helps you see the episode in a different light. Thank you guys. I really do mean everything I say when I say that I appreciate every single person who tunes in for these videos. Thank you for leaving comments. Thank you for reacting because it helps the algorithm. Honestly, seeing people reacting to my videos really does remind me that, you know what, there's people out there who do care about what I say. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend and I hope you recover after this week's episode. Take care of yourselves, guys. Bye bye.